welcome to Weekend Opinions. I am your host, Estevan Ortega, and here with me is my best friend, Coulter, who will be in every episode.
Well, I am also your co-host. So,
Debatably.
uh,
I'll give you
well,
special guest.
no, I haven't agreed on that. Anyways, so did you ever hear about the Peapod?
No.
Well, he broke his leg, so now he's in a podcast.
Oh man, that was not great.
It was terrible, I know. So, but that leads into, the topic of podcasts. This is our first episode of our podcast, so, pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah, so like we said, I'm Estevan Ortega and he is
Coulter Barnes.
yeah, and so this podcast is basically just going to be about two guys talking about random stuff for an hour every week. Yeah. So, would you like to address the name of the podcast?
Well, yeah, so we decided on the name Weekend Opinions because we're going to be posting every Saturday, like the weekend, but we spelled it W-E-A-K, like weak, not strong, because we're two guys with strong opinions about things that don't matter.
Yes.
So we have our
like,
Weekend Opinions.
Yeah, we'll be talking about things like Marvel, Star Wars, just fandoms like that, stuff we're interested in, just our lives, and we hope that we provide interesting and funny conversations for you guys to listen to.
Of course, we're just here to have our conversations, which we find to be funny and interesting, but hopefully you guys agree with our take on them.
Yes, that's actually the reason what inspired us to start this podcast. Me and Coulter were talking on the phone, and we were like, wow, we really just talked about random stuff for 2.5 hours. We could make this a podcast.
Yeah, we talked about everything and nothing at the same time. I found it surprising, but I think we have good conversations, good debates, because we don't agree on everything, and I think that works towards our advantage.
Mm-hmm.
And
but we have a lot of stuff that we're both interested in, so yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so typically each episode will be around 1 hour. This is the pilot episode, and it's just us talking about the podcast and explaining to you guys what it is. So this one will be significantly shorter than the typical episode, but yeah, we'll be releasing the pilot episode 0, this one right now, along with episode 1, our first real episode, this Saturday or today when you guys are listening to it.
Yeah. Yeah, we're recording it early, obviously. That makes sense, but we'll be releasing everything on Saturday every week. So we hope that you guys tune in and listen. So what gave you what's some of the inspiration you got for this?
So yeah, like I said, like when we were talking about him, we somehow in our conversation podcast got brought up, and there's a podcast I listen to called Popcorn Culture. Is these two guys, two brothers, Ben and Jay Carlin, made it. You might know them from their YouTube channel, Super Carlin Brothers. Anyways, we were talking about that, and we're like, what would be fun to do? Create a podcast, just us talking about random things. Like we did take so Popcorn Culture did inspire a few of our ideas, but this is going to be a unique thing to us. It will be similar format as theirs, but still just different topics and stuff. It's not the same thing, but they did inspire some of our ideas. So go check out their podcast. It's pretty good.
Yeah, and we figured that since we're just in quarantine, we're not really doing that much. It's just a fun thing to do over the weekend. Just talk to my best friend for an hour every weekend. So.
Yeah. And so we hope that you guys do find this interesting. And right now we're recording this over a Zoom call, so we apologize if the audio is not amazing. Neither of us have any type of good microphone to use to record, so yeah.
We're just figuring it out. It'll get better over time, hopefully, but for now we just hope you guys enjoy it, listening to us talk about random stuff. And remember, nothing's off limits. We're going to talk about everything. We have an email called weekendopinions@gmail.com.
No, Weekend Opinions Podcast.
Weekend Opinions Podcast.
WEAEND Opinions Podcast@gmail.com. If you have any questions, suggestions, anything, just want to contact us, that is how you can do so. Again, Weekend Opinions Podcast@gmail.com. Weekend spelled WEAKEND.
Yeah, my bad. Estevan does most of the work here. I like to think of it as I'm the charismatic guy that presents the project, and Estevan is the guy that does all the work. So,
hey, I feel like I'm being tricked. Are you?
I'm not doing any work for this, Estevan. This is all you.
Oh, okay.
I'm just.
Man, it's a good thing we have. It's a good thing we have Sherbel as our manager.
Oh yeah. Yeah, shout out to Sherbel, who will be helping us.
Sherbel Milano. He is our jack of all trades. He helps behind the scenes, and he might appear in a future episode. So,
once we get this figured out, yeah, we'll probably have him on. We'll have a lot of our friends on here as well, just to talk about anything and everything, like we've been saying. So you'll get to meet some of our friends, and hopefully you'll find them as interesting as we do.
Weird might be a better word for it.
What? Weird? Yeah, that is true. That's true.
Describes the two of us as well.
Oh yeah, we have an interesting dynamic, but it works. We've been best friends since what? Preschool? Yeah, preschool.
We went to the same preschool for what? How many years? 2 years? It was 2 years.
2 or 3, 2 or something.
2 years in preschool, and then we were in the same class every year of elementary except for second grade.
Second grade, yep.
And then
the first half of first grade.
And then I moved into his class. Yes, because my parents did not like the teacher.
Yeah. And that's where we met our other friend Hunter, who will probably be in a show, but he's our other best friend, Hunter. We've been friends forever too. So
yeah, and then Coulter went and ditched me and went off to Cottonwood Classical.
Yep. I had to get that good education, and then I moved to Colorado for hockey. So
yes, but we've still stayed connected, and now we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, and it should be fun. I'm excited to do it. I think it's good to just be able to talk to you for an hour. I don't really care what people think.
Yes. So So for this, we also, so this should be on Spotify, Apple Music, and we also have a YouTube channel that we'll be posting these conversations to. So any of those three places, maybe more, I don't know where other places podcasts go. You know,
Maybe SoundCloud.
SoundCloud. I don't know. But pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts, will be on there. I will also be on YouTube. So if you look up Weekend Opinions, that's us.
And like we said, please subscribe and listen. Hopefully you find it interesting, because we do, obviously. And we're just here to have fun. So hopefully you guys have fun with us.
So Coulter, would you like to start talking about one of our topics? Give them a little taste of what the typical episode would be like.
Well, I think the other day we were talking about the different sports and how people get paid. Kind of like what we were talking about baseball. I felt that a lot of them were kind of divas. I feel like they asked
pretty much for a lot of sports. Most sports are like that.
But I feel baseball, they ask for way too much money versus what they actually, deserve.
Well, so
because
the thing is, in baseball, there's not a hard salary cap, which means teams that have rich owners can basically pay a bunch of money for all the stars. That's why teams like the Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Red Sox are always consistently good because.
But see, that's not fair to the other teams that don't have as much money, I think. And also, like, for example, take Bryce Harper. He's a good player, but he left the Nationals because they wouldn't. But he left the Nationals to go play for the Phillies. Because he would still get paid a ton of money with the Nationals. And the year after he left, the Nationals won the World Series, right? So right, yeah. I feel that it was just like he would have gotten paid a ton of money with the Nationals, but I think he honestly went to try and go get more money than he's worth because he didn't really do anything for the Phillies.
Yeah, the Phillies were still terrible with him. But that's the same for a lot of professional sports, like in football right now. Dak Prescott, the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, he's trying to make, like, he wants $35 million a year, and that would tie him with Russell Wilson, who has a significantly better resume than Dak Prescott. He's been to 2 Super Bowls, won one of them. Dak's never even made it into the conference championship, and like that's just how professional athletes are. They're trying to. I mean, you can't really blame them. They're trying to get as much money as they can. Like,
oh, of course, and I agree with you about Dak Prescott. He's doing too much.
He's not a bad quarterback. He's above average, but he doesn't deserve to be the number 2 highest paid quarterback. But
I completely agree. He's asking for way too much, and I feel like you're right at the same. But I feel like baseball, like I feel in other sports, if you have a good quarterback or you can succeed as a team. If you have one good player in baseball, it's not going to work because it can't be everywhere at once. You do need a team in baseball to actually win.
Right. Yeah. Baseball is very, so even though like it seems more like an individual sport because like only one batter is hitting at a time, like there's like the spotlight is on the individual player. For a team to win, like you have to have a good team. It's definitely not star powered.
Exactly. So like I feel like these baseball players are asking for too much for a sport that doesn't require one player. Because like if you look at basketball or other sports, like if you have that superstar, they can make, like, obviously most sports are team oriented, you need a team, but if you have a superstar, they can make a difference in
yeah,
in a way.
like for the NBA, having one of those top 10 players on your team will push you into the playoffs almost like
automatically.
Like you need two all-stars to be able to compete for a title, but one superstar will definitely push you into the playoffs.
Like if you take the Pelicans, right? They Zion got hurt early on and they were bottom of the league. And then Zion got better before COVID, and they're fighting for a playoff spot.
They're
like,
currently
they're
the favorites
right
to make the 8th seed.
I know that, but like, with Zion hurt, they're one of the bottom teams, and with Zion back, they can make the playoffs.
With basketball, it's crazy how much difference one player can make.
Exactly, and baseball, that doesn't happen
because all 9 players are on the field. All 9 players have to hit.
And also it's not even just like I mean, if you have one superstar hitter, that can work sort of in a way.
So say you have one superstar hitter. He's up, he hits a shot. He's not going to hit a home run every time. That's impossible.
Oh, of course.
But say
but a superstar hitter helps you. But what I'm saying is like when you're playing out in the field, everyone has to pass the ball. Like you can't take it yourself and run. Like if it goes out into the outfield, you can't run in and get him out on first base. You have to pass that ball. There's no throw it, whatever. But there's no way humanly possible you're going to get to the first base before the guy runs there, unless you throw the ball.
Right. Yes. But even for hitting, so that's a really, really good hitter in the MLB. Their batting average is about 350. So what that means is basically 3.5 times out of 10 they get on base, which that means 6.5. The best, these are the best hitters in the league. Like the top 10 guys hit with a batting average of 350. So the best players fail 6.5 times out of 10. The majority of the time, they're not getting on base. And even if they do get on base, so they get a really good hit, get a single. They need the other players to be able to move them around the bases and for there to score a run.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like there's too much like you're saying, in other sports there are always those people that are like, I should be paid more, or that diva mentality, but I feel in baseball there's a lot of that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense that is the mentality when you need 9 players to win a game.
Exactly, because there are these good, but like you were saying the other day, Mike Trout, who is the best player in baseball right now, probably, right? His team, his team
last year
isn't
they
very
didn't
good.
even make the playoffs. Yeah,
exactly, and he's the best player, but that doesn't mean anything if he doesn't have a team to help him out, and you look at the difference. You have LeBron James and the Brow, right, on the Lakers, and they're dominating the league.
Yeah, and the other players on that team are good, but they're not. They're basically they filled out the rest of their roster with role players that aren't the best. Obviously they're really good being in the NBA, but they're not compared to other teams. It's basically it's 2 stars and then other players.
Yeah, exactly. And you look at last year before they had Anthony Davis, right? And LeBron was hurt most of the year. Before he was hurt, they were doing decent. Like
Yeah,
it looked like they were going to make
gonna
it into
make
the playoffs. And then he got hurt,
Yeah,
and the team fell, and then he came back, and there was no way they were making it into the playoffs. But they actually started to rise through the rankings a little bit. So like we were saying, in basketball, you can have that one star and make that huge difference. But in baseball, you have to have all those 9 players. So so in basketball, there could be a little bit of that diva mentality where you like, I deserve more, I should get more, versus in baseball where all these people are demanding a ton of money for you know, individually, when you have to have that team to actually win.
Right. Yes. So I think you made a very good point with that. So that's like an example of a type of conversation we'll have on this podcast. It definitely won't always be about sports. It can be about literally anything. Like I said, we're huge fans of a lot of things. Marvel, Disney. We are both obsessed with Hamilton.
Yep.
Random conversations like that.
We'll talk about literally anything. And like we said, you can email us and with topics that you'd like us to talk about. And the chances of us liking it are high because, like we said, we like a ton of things, and we'll talk about pretty much anything. So
yeah, so let me give that email address to you guys again. It is weekend with the weekend opinions podcast at gmail.com. WEAKEND opinions podcast at gmail.com. Yeah, so just send us ideas, questions, whatever you want. And so I think this is a good place to end the pilot episode for today. So see you next episode, hopefully.
It was Coulter signing off.